You're listening to the Late Night Football Show with your host, Rohit Singh. That's me. On this show, we talk about some of the most serious, least silly topics from the world of football for your entertainment and enjoyment. Please remember that the show is BYOL. Bring your own laughs, since we don't have the budget for a studio audience. Happy listening. All right, everyone, and welcome back to Late Night Football's Premier League Review episode part 2. Very excited to have Sameer, Adarsh, Ayush, and Nishikant back again with us today. And we're going to continue where we left off. And we did the top 3 last time around. So we're going to continue on that vein with the 4th team in the list. And then we'll also talk about the rest of the league and also get your thoughts on the achievements of the season and the most important one, VAR. So watch out for that. Stay tuned for that one. So let's get right into it. Let's get into Chelsea. Nishikant, 4th place, first season for Lampard, managed an FA Cup final as well. Was it above expectations, below expectations, on par? Oh, and there was a transfer ban as well for you guys in there as well.
Well, I think it's above expectations for sure for Frank Lampard. Personally, I was wishing for top 4, but it wasn't. I wasn't confident that we could get it this season, given that we lost Hazard, our best player. We had a transfer ban. We couldn't buy our way out of it, unlike certain others. So we had to live with the law, and we could not buy any players. So given with that and how well Frank Lampard has groomed the youngsters that are coming through the academy. So it's kind of been a blessing in disguise for us that we got to see so many youngsters coming through. And most of them have been quite good. Some of them, like Billy Gilmore, have very good potential from what they have shown this season. So that's a good way forward for us. It's the future looks good. So hopefully, let's see how we do next season and how we continue with the new signings that we have made. But for now, I would say, yeah, definitely. If we would have won an FA Cup, that would have been an icing on the cake. But to reach a cup final and, to finish 4th with the team that we have, I think it's a good job by Frank Lampard.
Nishikant, there's a saying in wrestling, it's a new day. Yes, it is, but it isn't. It's still the same. You and City Shades. But I think that makes a lot of sense. Adarsh, do you have anything to add? I mean, they did cost you the title. But
yeah, Chelsea has been a good part, is an integral part of this Premier League for a long time now. And they have been amazing this season as well. You can question the defensive qualities, but in the attack, they have been very good. The attack has been performing really well for Chelsea. But I still feel Lampard is spending in the wrong direction, because the right direction would be the defense and the goalkeeper. I know they have already spent 75 million on a goalkeeper, but that's not a solution for them so far. He has a bad season this year, and
yes, he did,
so they need a good backup or a good competition for that place, because Willy Caballero is 36, 37 years old. You can't rely on him to be a permanent backup for the next couple of years, nor he can compete for the first position. So they need a good goalkeeper, as well as a good defensive line, a good competition, healthy competition back there, because the midfield is quite a bit sorted because of the good academy players. The attack is good. They need to work on the defense and the goalkeeping spot. So hopefully Lampard would look into that and make things easy for Chelsea fans, and that trying night would be turned into happy nights for them soon.
We did talk about signings and lack of them, but they did make 2 signings. Technically, they got Kovacic in on a permanent signing from a loan, and then they also got Christian Pulisic, who, by all accounts, looks. Or is that going to be Ziyech or Havertz?
The initial signs are good from Pulisic. I mean, he's been a match winner for Chelsea since the restart, been the difference. But let's not forget Hazard. He's a all-time great of English Premier League now. He has been part of great feats with Chelsea, and Pulisic is just starting his career in EPL. So we can see already the defenders are chopping at his legs and pushing around, and so he needs to beef up and become more consistent. And then maybe we can talk about comparing with Hazard's feats. But the initial signs are good. So far, he looks a top deal for Chelsea, a great deal, and yeah, he will definitely be a big asset for the club.
Yeah.
And Lampard is utilizing him in a good way. And the new crop is coming up, which is scoring freely, and he skipped past like Liverpool defense, like it was not present even there. I mean, so that's a big compliment and shows that he's only starting and he has more potential.
Nishikant, do you agree with that? Do you
Well,
satisfied?
yeah, yes, I mean, I agree with most of the points he made, but yeah, I mean, Hazard is a different thing, right? So there are levels to this game, and Hazard is on a different level completely. Pulisic is too young. But if I see on the left wing as a left winger, the role which Hazard play, I think Pulisic is going to be the mainstay there because of the season he has had and because of his abilities. So clearly, man has serious pace. He is quite quick. He's really quick, and on top of that, he has a very good first touch. Something that I think it's one of his attributes that has been pretty underrated, at least this season. He has a really good first touch. He has a knack of scoring important goals. So yeah, and just like Hazard, whenever we are playing, it seems that Pulisic is the guy to go to. He's the one who's going to do something. He pulls people towards him. He can, just burst past them. So it's his impact has been, he can have the same impact as what Hazard has had on Chelsea. Too early to say right now, but I do see him as the main left winger that Chelsea are going to go with in their.
Okay, and that actually makes sense. And speaking of signings, and Pulisic picked so well, Chelsea are now allowed to sign players. Their ban has been lifted, and in many ways, that is a blessing in disguise because you actually have money to spend this season, which other clubs do not because of COVID, and that's really helped you out. So, but is there a need to now sort of diversify that spending a bit? Are you going to attack heavy? So, Nishkan, I'll come to you in a second, but do you think attack heavy?
Yes, I think Chelsea have definitely been the best signers in this season. I mean, they have signed great players, but I think they are a bit top heavy right now. I mean, Lampard is probably beefing up the attack a great deal, but he has neglected the defensive part of the game. So, I mean, guys like Zuma, Christensen, and Rudiger, and Kepa, these are the names, and Alonso, you can include Alonso also, Emerson. So these guys, they are not up to the mark if Chelsea wants to win the league and other cup competitions. So unless they are able to resolve their defensive problems, their defensive issues, this team is going to be inconsistent. It's a young team, and they are definitely going to grow. And Lampard is the man to go along with. So let's see who he can bring in for the defensive areas.
No, I think the kind of team that we have had recently, we have struggled up front, right? We cannot score that many goals. Not often you will see a Chelsea game. If you see the era before the number 3 on the jersey, we were not really scoring that many goals, but we are definitely conceding. So I think changes are required in not just a couple of positions, but multiple ones. So Lampard has started well. He wants goals in his team. The way we play, we keep possession of the ball. So if we have someone who can create chances and convert chances, that would really give us an edge. But I also agree that we very desperately need to focus on our defensive situation. We are going after Havertz, who I think is a good player, but at this point, I think is an unnecessary signing, probably a luxury signing, maybe. But ideally, we should be looking at a left back. I think our centre backs are individually really good players. So I think apart from the personnel changes, we also need to tweak our tactics because we have conceded 54 goals. And we have seen Zuma play. This wasn't his first season. We have seen Rudiger play. It wasn't his first season. These are individually quite good centre backs. So I think on that department we are fine. But we also definitely, and one of the most important changes we need to make is the goalkeeper. So Kepa has been what he has been, and Willie is a good backup, but he's not someone a team with aspiration to win trophies should rely on. So we definitely need a new goalkeeper who can at least, save us 7 or 8 points a season. All top teams have that. Whether you see all the teams, who recently won the the Premier League have changed their goalkeepers. Liverpool and Manchester City, they have got new goalkeepers. They have good goalkeepers. Teams, your Madrid and Barcelona's, they have good goalkeepers. So Chelsea definitely need to invest there, focus a bit more on defense. But I'm impressed by our signings so far. I think we really needed a left-footed winger who can operate on right wing, much like how Robin did for us and does for Bayern. So I think it's been an good transfer season so far. Hopefully we can get a couple of defensive reinforcements, and that should be good enough for them.
Adarsh, do you have anything you'd like to add to that?
Completely agree with Nishi. They need left back reinforcement right now rather than a attacking reinforcement. So if Lampard focuses on the defensive transfer market at this point, I think he'll excel more. He'll have more success in the next season and the seasons to come, because I don't think Christensen is a guy who they can rely on. And Rudiger has been with Chelsea for like 2-3 years or more, but he hasn't been the guy. He is not the guy you can rely on for saving goals or making important tackles and all. So they need a good defender. If Zuma is the guy you want to stick with, it's fine. He is decent. He can be improved a lot. He has improved a lot. And you want to get a player who can be a stable guy in the defense. And you have academy player like Christensen, so definitely you don't need better than him. You don't have any other player who is better than him right now. So you need a pre-made player, just what United needed in the face of Maguire. So similarly, they need a pre-made player who can be a good defender and a good leader from the back for Chelsea, because the team is full of youths. So they need an experienced centre-back and a good leader from behind.
Natachi makes a lot of good points, and Nishikant, I think you kind of covered what Chelsea need to do to prepare for next season. So I'll just ask Sameer, what do you think Chelsea need to do as well, from your perspective, to compete next season?
They need to change a little bit at the back. Like Nishikant said, that personnel-wise, they're not bad. Zuma, Rudiger, good players. Azpilicueta, proven to be a good player, even though he's a bit old now. Marcos Alonso, I'm not very sure, so they'll definitely buy a left back. But they need to. I feel like more than the personnel, it's the tactics that make Chelsea concede so many goals. So they definitely need maybe an assistant manager to Lampard who can help him set up the defense better, and that will help them big time, because their signings so far have been insane, right? Like, they're the only ones who have signed any meaningful players so far in the Premier League. And with the right kind of defensive setup, they could possibly get top 4 quite easily next year, because I don't see other teams fighting for it other than United and Chelsea.
You saying Ferran Torres is meaningless, Sameer?
Well, yeah.
Oh. So just for everyone, thankfully we're not doing this on video because we just had a censored gesture from Adarsh. So we thankfully we don't have to show on video. But thanks so much, guys, for giving your honest opinions on the top 4 teams that may be considered the direct rivals. But we're gonna switch gears now and go to the rest of the league really quickly. So we'll start with Spurs. We'll start with Spurs. I think Jose Mourinho replaced Mauricio Pochettino in the fall. And I guess the question is he the right person to take them forward from what Pochettino did? Or is he the person who's going to tear up everything that Poch did and build his own mark on it? I guess, is he the right man for Spurs at this point? Sameer, is that what Spurs needed after Pochettino?
Terrible decision from Spurs. Because Jose is not someone you get in to manage a squad that has been built by Pochettino. Jose is a quick fix, but in the long run, he's going to destroy your squad and leave you worse off than you were before he arrived. He did the same thing at Chelsea. He did the same thing at United. I feel like even though he achieved a lot in his second stint with Chelsea, they were probably a worse team when he left than when he arrived. And the same thing happened at United. He bought a lot of expensive players, Lukaku and this one, um, Pogba. And when he left, both of them looked terrible, even though Pogba has improved big time now. But I feel like I don't think Spurs should have let go of Pochettino in the first place because he's built a really good squad for them, and one bad season shouldn't be the reason for someone who has done so much for you to be sacked. And over that signing, Jose is. I mean, I have my personal issues with the man, so I'm a bit biased while speaking about this, but I feel like it was a terrible
But I
decision.
read that if you could look at the league table since Jose arrived, Tottenham are in top four.
Yes, but like I said, he's a quick fix. He's probably going to get the results. He's going to make the team look terrible while he's getting the results. And when he leaves, Tottenham are going to start from scratch again. So I definitely
On
don't
that,
think.
I agree.
There might be some United Chelsea bias. So Adarsh, you are kind of neutral. What is your take on it?
I too agree that Jose is a quick fix at the moment, but I think he has lost his charm. He's lost his winning ways. He's lost that elite mentality which he used to had before coming to United. Because even at United, he was not looking sharp, which he was used to be. So even at Spurs, he's looking a bit rusty. He is getting points. He's getting his team some points. He is in top four, but the momentum and the mentality which we were expecting from Spurs under Jose is not what we are getting. So we expected more, but we're getting very less of him. And Spurs need to get a better manager than him if Spurs does not win any trophies under him in year or two.
Speaking of managers, we're talking about one maybe past it manager to three fresh faces. Sort of relatively, we've got Arteta, we've got Lampard, and we've got Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who just kind of joined their clubs new, respectively. So, in your opinion, who do you think has the bigger ceiling? And maybe we'll start with Nishikant. Nishikant, who do you think has the bigger ceiling of the three managers?
I think I would say Arteta. You know, he has done really well since he has taken over Arsenal. Out of these three, he's the one who has already won a trophy yet. I mean, this season. Ole still has a chance in Europa League, and that will definitely be a bigger trophy. But for now, I think Arteta has done really well. Lampard, from a Chelsea perspective, did exceed expectations. But if you see as a general, we kind of hopped on. We struggled to finish top four as well. It wasn't a cakewalk for us, right? So I think they've all done well from what they've done. The resurgence of United has been remarkable since the restart. So I would definitely, it's a close call, but I think because Arteta has managed to win a FA Cup, he is right now on the top among these three.
Adarsh, what do you think?
Yeah, I would go with Arteta as well because he's
a City
only
legend.
manager. He's a very good student of Pep, I would say. But he is the only manager who hasn't got any Premier League signing so far for his team, who hasn't got a new player under his name.
And he probably isn't going to get any noteworthy player either. So it's a tough job that he's in.
It's a tough job, especially when you have a toxic player like Ozil on the bench, who's eating up all your wages and making it difficult for the club to sign any other more expensive players on high wages. So, and he has been doing quite good from bringing the best out of David.
There's the question, right? Why not play Ozil? Why? I mean, it can't be that world's best central attacking midfielder turned to, complete, utter, useless, thing overnight. So, they should play him, make him play.
I think that's where the mentality thing comes in, because he doesn't have that winning thing, the hunger which he used to have a couple of years ago.
So shouldn't it be a manager's job to motivate his players? Then all the managers who have been there at Arsenal so far, it should have been their job. I mean, clearly it's
All of
not
them.
like he has said I won't play. Otherwise, we would have heard it by now. So, and he wants to stay. He clearly wants to stay. So why not
Because of
make
the
full use
wages.
of it?
Because
Yeah,
of
I
the
mean,
wages.
whatever might be the reason, but let's
Yeah.
make full of use of it.
But still, he has been toxic to the dressing room because, like few months back, I read some article. He is not being the best guy you would like to sit beside in the dressing room. He had a wrong impression on the youngsters, especially on Saka. I heard and Saka has been performing very well for Arsenal this season. So if it costs a best player to leave on the bench just for the sake of dressing room and good mentality with a good positivity around the team, I think it's a good job by the managers, because it's a hard part to leave a good player on the bench, especially when your name is Mesut Ozil. So when a manager has the guts to drop him, I think he's doing what he's doing for the good mentality of the team.
Sameer, do you want to give your verdict as well on the three?
Like too early to judge Arteta because he's been in the job less than a year now. But and of course he's won a cup, but it just could be a flash in the pan, because if you see the league results, it's just been terrible. Like Arsenal play like a midfield team almost. So sorry, mid-table team almost. I'm thinking of F1 over there. So
But that's what they have been for a while. So
I disagree.
it'll take time for Arteta to improve it. Like you said, he hasn't even been there for a year. No signings as well.
No, but what others said, it's the mentality has changed. I genuinely don't feel that's the. I feel like it's Aubameyang carrying the team completely right now. I don't think if you remove Aubameyang from that team, they probably finish 3 or 4 spots lower than they did this season, and probably don't win the FA Cup as well. So I don't think Arteta has been the reason for whatever success they've had. He could turn out to be a great manager once he gets his signings in and deals with the Ozil situation, but it's too early to judge. But for me, I would probably say Lampard has been the biggest revelation this season, because when he came in, it was he's never had Premier League experience. He's never managed a big team. And suddenly he comes in and he just takes a team that has a transfer ban and not a terrible squad, but definitely not a world-class squad. And he brings them into the top 4, and they're going to be playing the Champions League next season. So even though Ole has done a great job, I feel like because Lampard had to face such a difficult situation at Chelsea, he's definitely been the bigger star out of the 3 new managers.
It's very interesting. Thank you guys for your opinion. Ayush, I did not ask you to name your preference because Klopp already is way ahead of all of them right now. So I don't think it matters to you where we talk. But speaking of, I know this was talking about Aubameyang carrying the team. Where do you rank him among the top strikers in the world? Where do you rank Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang right now?
As far as out and out striker goes, I think Aubameyang is the top 2 striker in the world after Lewandowski. The sheer amount of goals and the consistency with which he has been scoring 20 plus goals in Bundesliga and now in the EPL also. So definitely he's the striker role.
Even better.
Yeah, as far as converting chances, I think he's better than Ronaldo. I mean, Arsenal don't create that many chances as United or Real Madrid or Juventus create for Ronaldo. So yeah, as far as finishing goes, he is up there with the likes of Lewandowski and Ronaldo and Messi. But the striker position, I mean, it has evolved a lot. I mean, the guys like Luis Suarez and like Firmino, these guys are doing a lot more job than just scoring goals. They are also participating in creating the chances for their other players. So Aubameyang is like an out-and-out striker. He just runs over the shoulder of the defender and just give him a ball and he will run past him. And probably more than often than not, he will score.
So if he, in your opinion, if he is a top two striker in the world, then is Arsenal where he needs to be to fulfill his ambitions? Can they satisfy? Can they help him fulfill his potential? Can they satisfy his ambition if he is a top two striker in the world? Should he be at Arsenal?
I mean, if he's satisfied with winning FA Cups and EFL Cups, Carabao Cups, then Arsenal is the place to be. I mean, they are the leaders in FA Cup winners. But if they want to, if he's ambitious and wants to win the bigger the titles, the leagues and the Champions League, so he needs to leave.
So
Because age is not, he is aging now. I mean, age is not on his side now. And once he loses his space, then he loses a big attribute of his art. That's the biggest arsenal in his department, in his locker room, the pace with which he can beat defenders. So once he loses that, I mean, he will be his goal scoring will definitely take a hit. So he needs to change.
So he shouldn't sign the new contract then.
Yeah.
Perfect. But on that note, speaking of ambitious strikers, Nishikant, another one out there is Harry Kane. And is it now time for him to move on from Spurs?
Yeah, I mean, he's coming back from a serious injury, but he looks less involved in the games as from compared to under Pochettino, and that probably is down to Jose's style of play. But I think he's a player who deserves trophies. He is 27 years, 28 years, so he's in his prime now, and he's a striker who could walk into any top team starting 11, right? I think it's really, this season is the best opportunity that he has. He should move to a top team. I'm sure with the relationship Madrid and Tottenham have, Madrid would be interested in him. Benzema isn't getting any younger, so he's a top team material, and I don't want him to become another Matt Letizia. Right? I know he loves the club and everything, but end of the day, he's a professional, and he should have those ambitions that goes with being a professional. So he should move on. He doesn't want to look back and have nothing to show for it. He's a great striker, and I think he has outgrown Spurs.
Maybe he'll be a Teddy Sheringham. He'll stay at Spurs till he's 28, 29, then move to a big club, win 2 or 3 trophies at the end of his career, and move on.
Well, I mean, if luck favors him.
Yeah. But on that note, it may seem silly now, but back in December, Leicester were the top challengers to Liverpool, even higher than Manchester City. They were second at that time, and since then things haven't worked out for them. They lost out on the Champions League spot to Manchester United. Sameer, your team did benefit from this downward spiral, but would you call it underachievement? Would you call it like Leicester as underachieving as bottlers, or do you think they still overachieved to finish 5th?
I mean, if you look at the season as a whole, then they've overachieved big time, because at the start of the season, Leicester is not the name you would take if you would think of a 5th place team. But like you said, after the restart, they have had some very average results, and they've dropped a lot of points, which thankfully allowed Manchester United to sneak into the top 4. But I don't think it's fair to call them bottlers, because no one expected them to be there in the first place. So Rodgers did a great job getting them up there. They just did not have the quality to keep it going. And also, they got some very major injuries towards the end of the season, which hurt them even more. So I feel it's a bit unfair to call them bottlers. I definitely feel like they've overachieved the season. It's a shame that they missed out on the Champions League, but someone had to miss out. So it was unfortunately the team that everyone expected to miss out at the start of the season.
Sure.
I was expecting United though.
I'm sorry, Adarsh?
I was expecting United though.
Well, I think a lot of people were. But Ayush, you've seen Brendan Rodgers firsthand
Yes.
before, and your team pretty much started a downward spiral when Leicester lost to Liverpool in December. What was your take on it?
I think Leicester definitely bottled it. I mean, what Claudio Ranieri did with the Leicester City, that's called overachieving, what Ranieri did. And what Rodgers has done, he took a top 4 team and brought them out of top 4. So that's called bottling. Let's put it straight.
Got them into the top.
Sorry, Sameer, you're breaking up.
He's the one who got them in top 4 in the first place. Since Ranieri, they haven't been a top 4 team. They've barely been a top 6 team.
I mean, if we compare the squads player to player, I mean, some players are definitely better, even better than what they had in their title-winning season. Guys like Madison and still Vardy is still up and running. So these guys, I mean, he had a squad and he had a great chance. He had a 13-point lead at over United and Chelsea at one point. So definitely he bottled it after, especially after the restart of the league. I mean, probably he sent his players into to vacation and they didn't work on their fitness. So once they came back, they all were injured, their main players. And Madison wasn't there. So Young he lost his head and got a red card in a crucial game. So he wasn't available. So all these things, and on top of that, Rogers looked clueless when his team start to lose. We have seen it before with Liverpool also, and he doesn't take responsibility. I mean, he's happy once he loses to the big teams. He just stays humble. I mean, that the Leicester are
Lots of
overachieving.
frustration, Ayush, against Brendan Rodgers.
No, nothing like that. I mean, I'm happy that he has, I mean, gone over to newer things and we got Klopp in his place. So I didn't have
We are
anything
happy
to
because he
lose.
slipped. We are happy because he slipped. So.
Yes, yes. So
I'm beginning to think you don't rate him very highly.
no, definitely yes. You are right, Nishikant. I don't rate him as an elite manager. He is good at playing nice football, tiki-taka football, but you need to have that mental edge to win things, which I can see in Lampard, which I can see in Ole, which I can see in Arteta, but I still can't see in Rodgers. He's a coach. He's not a manager, first and foremost. So that's where he lacking. I mean, he was a good coach for Mourinho, and he learned, but he didn't get the mental part from Mourinho. He took his own. He's like a bro, bigger bro. When the things are going nice, he
But isn't
grabs
what
your.
they say about Klopp as well? He's like a bigger bro.
Klopp has an angry
Grass is
side
not the
also.
grass.
He's
You forgot about the grass, Ayush.
yes,
The
yes.
grass and the weather, the wind.
No. Yeah, always has excuses for it. I mean, Klopp, he doesn't. He's a good guy. I mean, he definitely gives his players a beer hugs, but he even lashes out once they are not up to the mark. He has an angry side to him also, Klopp, which I never find with Rodgers. I mean, he's always too mellow, and that's what is holding him back from becoming a greater manager. In my eyes, at least.
Okay, we'll talk about a relegated team now in Bournemouth. Very pleasant team to watch, and 4 years in the Premier League, and then leaving and sadly relegated this season. And along with that, Eddie Howe, someone who's got a lot of plaudits for his tactics, for his play, probably not for his recruitment though, but he's also decided to move on and doesn't fancy another stint in the Championship. Nishikant, do you think the time was right for him to move on from Bournemouth?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he has done what he could at Bournemouth. They had few good seasons in Premier League. He got them promoted once, I think, as well. So he did pretty well, and I think he has done well enough that he knows he can get job in first league of any country. Maybe even in Premier League. So there's no point staying with a team that was relegated. He's a professional. He has to look forward. So yeah, I think it was best for all parties. For this decision. He wouldn't have been motivated anymore at Bournemouth, so it's better he has left.
Mm-hmm. Others, what do you think? Do you think there's some teams as well in the Premier League or even in the continent, like in Europe, that might be interested in hiring him?
Yeah, Eddie is a good manager. He's a decent manager, if not good. He has got that potential to be a good manager as well. We have seen some glimpse of that at Bournemouth, because Bournemouth was a decent side until this season. Unfortunately, they got relegated. They are a pleasure side to have in Premier League. So Eddie can get a job. Even in the Premier League, he can get a job. He can certainly work with Crystal Palace, I think, because I feel Crystal Palace has got a good potential. They've got good players at their prime right now, Zaha, Benteke, and others as well. I think he can get a job there, Watford. So if they can get hands on Eddie Howe, so there'll be a good success under him. I feel the same way.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great to know. And finally, we'll talk about West Ham, Wolves, Everton. Among these teams, did they overachieve? Did they underachieve? Or do you think they were on par? Ayush, what are your thoughts on these three teams?
So for West Ham, I think the least they could expect is to stay in the league. I mean, the sheer size of the club is so large, but they were underperforming. But Moyes managed to, I think, make things okay for them, and after restart they played well up to their potential. Michael Antonio was very impressive after restart, and he was a big part of saving them from relegation. So in the end, I mean, they underachieved, but staying in the league was their prime target after the bad start. So Moyes did well, and but if he can keep hold of Declan Rice and Mikel Antonio and guys like them, so they can definitely improve on it until Moyes. So he has steadied the ship, and hopefully they can get upper of 10 at least. For regarding Everton, I think I'm underwhelmed by Carlo Ancelotti's team. I mean, as in definitely as a City rival, I expect them to be up there with Liverpool so that we can have a good rivalry. So apart, they are very inconsistent. I mean, they're the team lacking identity. Everton is lacking identity. I mean, they don't have Leighton Baines and has retired. I mean, the old guard is left, and the new player like Richarlison, and they don't just cut it for a club like Everton with history. So he is always sulking and diving. So yeah, so Everton has
No bias
underwhelmed.
there. There's no bias there at all, is there?
No. Just an honest opinion. I mean, they are too far behind. What harm can they do? They're not in the league right now. So I hope they can come up under Ancelotti because I like him as a manager. And he has still a great pull. So if he can get good players using his name, then maybe we can see Everton coming up again. So they achieved, their position. So I think they didn't underachieve, but they did as they were expected to do.
Yeah, like par. Yeah.
And for Wolves, I will think they overachieved. Definitely overachieved with the shoestring purse they had. Parker, their manager had. So he has done brilliant things with the club. Adama Traore and Raul Jimenez and Diego Jota, these guys, Ruben Neves, how he has managed to assemble such a squad is mind-boggling. So they went under the radar for earlier part of the season, but teams started to take them seriously once the business end of the season came. And they
I
were
would like to interject over here.
Yeah.
I feel like what's under reported a lot is Wolves' financial capability. They are a very rich club hiding under the guise of a small club, I feel, because they've had a lot of investment from I don't remember the company, but it's a big investment firm in China, and they have a personal relationship with Jorge Mendes. So it's I don't really think they are a small club with a shoestring budget. I feel like they've done really well to hide under that image since the takeover has happened.
Yeah, that's a good thing for them if other clubs aren't able to track these things. I mean, good for if you hadn't mentioned it, I wouldn't have known it that they are a rich club.
That
But
will
still,
be report once they get into the Champions League. Then you will see these things happen. Right now, I think it's a feel-good story. But Nishikant, do you agree with Ayush's assessment of the clubs?
Yes, I do. I mean, West Ham have never overachieved anything. The highlight of their season is if they manage to defeat us. So that's pretty much what it is about West Ham. But yeah, I think Everton have definitely underachieved. They I think finished in top 10 previous season. They have finished outside of it this time. and I think that's doesn't that
क्या देखा?
for someone like Ancelotti, I think that is a finish that he would not be happy with. So they have definitely underachieved, at least this season. Let's see how they do next season. But Wolves for sure. I mean, I think they're one of the best coach team in the league. What Nuno has done with Traore and Raul Jimenez. I mean, Jimenez, especially, before coming to Wolves, he never had a 10-goal season in his entire time in Portugal. So he has really evolved. And, again, Ayush mentioned Diego Jota. Clearly, the partnership that they have got there up front, Jimenez and Jota, it's really working out for them, and they are a very well-drilled team. So Nuno Espirito Santo, his name sounds like something you would say to drive a ghost away, right? Nuno Espirito Santo.
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress. So I mean, they have overachieved. Everton have underachieved, and West Ham will never achieve anything. So they are just like,
again, no
not
bias
even
there
in
when
the
you talk about West
conversation.
Ham. As a Chelsea fan, absolutely no bias.
Maybe a little.
No, yes, I'm being sarcastic. So speaking of overachievers, underachievers, the one new innovation for this year was video assistant referee, or VAR, and it was the first time that it was implemented in the Premier League. Now, I'll confess that I watched VAR the way it was implemented at the World Cup in 2018, and I kind of liked it. And I spoke about this in a past episode as well. I don't know if you guys have watched it, but I spoke about how VAR was good in theory, but not executed properly when it came to on-field implementation. So I'm going to ask you guys, what do you think about it? And because this is such a great question, we'll have all of you guys answer it. So maybe we'll start with you, Adarsh. What were your thoughts on VAR this season?
The VAR, the basic problem was with the VAR was the referee didn't use the side screen which was available on the field. They never used to go there and check it by themselves. They always reliable on the third referee or the fourth referee, the video referee. Whatever his decision was, he used to take it. He never used to overturn that decision, or even the call which he has made on the pitch was hardly changed after even a controversial statement or any kind of a humble there on the field. So I believe that should be solved in the next season, because if the screen is available as it is already there, it should be used by the ref, and appropriate decision should be taken according to that.
Yeah. Well, Sameer, now Adarsh makes a good point about using the screen, but then there is the alternate theory that if somebody's in your ear telling you, you know what, you need to look at that decision again, it's almost like a subconscious message that, well, you know what, you might have made a mistake, or you have made a mistake. So does it really make sense to go look at the screen again? I believe that they should, but I mean, this is an alternate theory here as well, that maybe there's no point looking at the screen because now he's already been told that, you know what, you may have to change it, and that you probably should.
I feel I disagree with Adarsh over here. I feel like there should be a separate VAR referee who is only looking at the decisions, because it's kind of like in cricket when the umpire gives a decision and it goes to the third umpire. You don't have the third umpire and the on-field umpire discussing whether this should be out or not out. So you get different perspectives, and when the referee has a doubt, it makes sense for someone else to make the call for him, and someone else who is probably qualified, and someone who is not affiliated with the on-field referees. Because I feel like a lot of times what happens is they try and protect their own, so a lot of decisions go with the referee's call unless it's very obvious. So if they could have a separate panel and a separate set of referees who are only in the video reviewing, that probably would work out better, since there is no conflict of interest over there.
But isn't that in the definition itself saying clear and obvious error? That's only when it gets overturned. But I'll turn it over. I'll come back to you, Sameer, but I'll turn it back over to Ayush. Sameer says that there should be a panel of referees deciding that there should be a separate video assistant. Does that then reduce the role of the on-field referee? Like, how would that work?
Yes, yes. I think VAR has been pretty successful in resolving offside goals. So in that
Has it?
department, the linesmen, they were making a lot of mistakes on the on-pitch linesmen, but that VAR has vastly reduced the discrepancies in the goals offered on offside goal. But the black and white area is when taking direct corners, free kicks, and the pushing and shoving that goes on, and like the Messi goal yesterday, which was overruled in Champions League based on handball. So one angle shows you that there is no handball. Other one shows that. So it's not black and white completely. It's grey. So whether it's the on-pitch referee or a completely entire new referee, VAR referee, they have to make the same decision based on the video output, right? So once you watch that replay in slow motion, it completely changes the idea of what is going at real time. In the real time, it may not look like a foul, or it may look like a foul, but in slow motion, it can be vice versa, depending upon an individual. So yeah, I mean, VAR has been successful in resolving a few issues, but not entirely.
Adarsh, you had something you wanted to add to that?
It's not just the offside thing which is solved or something. It's not like the set pieces are to be resolved through VAR. We are facing problems with the offside rules as well, because VAR is not judged only on slow motion. It is judged on frame rates. The frame rate, the frame stat which has been used, is probably the mistake where the VAR referees go wrong, because the frame rate which they use probably is somewhat the after of it or the before of it. So that frame rate has to be corrected under the guidance of a good referee, I would say. And that should be corrected, because it's nothing like gray and something like that. It's black and white for everything. Every aspect has to be corrected on VAR. It's the frame rate which has to be corrected, most importantly.
So, Nishikant, I was going to ask you that question, but others kind of spoke to it about offsides. Is it too black and white? I mean, he's talking about gray, black and white. Is offsides too black and white, where there's there's a millimeter or even like half a millimeter? If you're offside, you're offside. Whereas maybe that's not how it should be in the game.
Yeah, and I agree with that, and I'll come to it later. First what Sameer said, I agree with it. There should be an independent authority of VAR referees, so that we can have a purely non-biased judgment from that side. Apart from that, now regarding your offside thing, so I think I agree with VAR in principle. Okay, I agree that there should be a VAR which should be an independent authority, and that should help the on-field referees. I agree with it being there, and I think it's for the good. But there are some things that seriously need to be changed. One is your offside thing, where it says, so VAR says that it will only come into play for clear and obvious errors, right? So when you see an offside, you see frame by frame, and you see a player is offside by 1 millimeter or 1 inch after stopping so many frames, and then you rule out a goal based on it. Right? That's not a clear and obvious error by a referee. It's not possible in real time for a human eye to see that error. It's very minute. So I don't think that's a clear and obvious error. Now, if you say that particular error would have had big impact, or it was a goal scoring opportunity, he scored a goal, then in that case, VAR says that we will look into red cards but not yellow cards. But what if you get 2 yellow in a game, and one of those yellow do not even happen to be a foul, like recently happened with Kovacic, and you get sent off? Those 2 yellow make a red, right? So if an exception, that's also a game-changing moment.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Similar to a goal scoring moment. But that is not looked at. So there's no consistency with VAR. And much like FA in his in how they punish people and things. There's no consistency pretty much in English football, and I think VAR should get their rules straight first. What they have to look at, what they can't look at. So if you go for things like clear and obvious, then a 1 inch offside decision cannot be a clear and obvious error from the ground referee. And if it's because the impact on the game, then you need to consider other scenarios as well that can have impact on the game. So we need that consistency from the VAR for now, in my opinion.
I would also like to add one more thing. I feel like since VAR has been implemented, the standards of refereeing have dropped a lot. I feel like there are a lot of mistakes being made.
Yeah, I feel I don't know, it's probably earlier they used to go unnoticed. Maybe referees were always, as bad as they are today. It just went unnoticed, maybe.
Is it possible
but
that
there's a
referees are willing to let things go because they think, you know what, VAR will look at it, so we don't
I mean, you
stop the
see,
game
That's
first?
what I feel. Yes, that's what I feel
Yeah.
about
But
it.
then on the other hand, the communication with the VAR,
I say this all the time.
and I
The
don't-
referees let things go
yeah,
purposefully.
sorry.
yeah.
Because they're using VAR as a crutch rather than an assist.
So, yes, so I think VAR should kick in. Whatever rule they specify, as long as there is consistency, that's when they should kick in. And like how it's going on, and a notification is to be made to the referee. They stop it for now. VAR is reviewing, and it's reviewed by an independent authority who will then make a final decision.
Okay.
So that's how it should be, because a lot of decisions. The game it's really quick now. English game especially, and even now you have a lot more pacier players than you had before. So it's difficult for a referee to at times keep up. So it's and it's not something unheard of. Many other games, Sameer mentioned cricket. I think even in tennis there is a third umpire system to check for whether a ball has properly gone out or not. So it has been implemented in other places successfully, properly. That's what
It
needs to
could be a
be.
good idea.
Yeah.
So
It could
I
be a
think-
good idea for having teams appeal for VAR rather than referees.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
give them a specific number of tries, like they do in
Yes,
cricket
just
and
like
tennis.
DRS.
Just like in
Yeah.
cricket, DRS.
Yeah.
In that case, Barcelona players will always be
No, so
surrounding and crowding
you'll
out
get a
the-
certain amount of it, right? So you'll get certain amount of it. You get it wrong, you lose that. You win your VAR, then you retain your review. So something like that.
I have three specific questions on VAR that I want to get through because I know we're running out of time. But Ayush, I just want to ask, I want to get your opinion on this. So we talk about tennis, we talk about cricket. These are games where there are dead periods, right? When the ball is balled, that's it, and it's done. The game dies there. The play dies at that point. Same with tennis. You play the rally, you do the point, play dies at that point. With football, it doesn't really happen, right? You're offside, the play continues. You get a foul, the play continues. If we're talking about each incident being reviewed by VAR, would that slow the game down then? Where it's like you would have to say, you know what, slow it down right now. The opposition might be on attack and they say, well, you know what, slow down. There's a foul that we need to look at. Is it practically feasible to keep doing that?
Yeah, definitely it is breaking the flow of the game, just like the mid half breaks, water breaks. So it is definitely breaking the flow of the game, and teams like who are trailing behind, who are leading, they can use it as a weapon also to waste time, like prime Mourinho teams used to do. And so that can be a tactic used by defensive teams. So that is what needs to be checked. I mean, that is the next should be the next target of PAR team, UEFA team. So how to manage the game so that the flow also doesn't break down for football. And yeah, if they can implement it the way tennis and cricket are doing successfully, then there are methods. I mean, like we discussed, there should be a different panel, and only the obvious errors, the black and white ones, should be considered. The gray areas can be left out for now, at least, unless better camera frame rate says they are suggesting. They are not.
Well, don't worry, Ayush. Liverpool has won the league. Everything will be sorted now.
Yeah, that's
Referee
why
would
I'm
not
not
the correct
complaining
way.
about VAR now. I mean,
Okay, so Adarsh, you beat me to the punch, but that was going to be my question to you. I'm going to
I
ask
don't have to.
two mischievous questions here to two people.
Yeah.
Adarsh, do you think Liverpool have benefited this season from VAR?
It
Is
would be a
Liverpool
crime if I say no to that answer. Yeah, the Liverpool has benefited a lot from VAR.
No way, man. No.
Okay. All
Yes, it
right,
would be a
that's fair
crime
enough.
if I say no. Yeah,
Um,
it's the old refs. According to me, this is my theory. It's the old refs which are football fans. That's why they are in a career of football, and they are all some kind of club fans. They like clubs from the older side. And previously, there were not many top tier clubs who were ruling England. There were Liverpool, United, and somewhat Arsenal at that point. So they were the referee, they were the fans of those particular clubs, and especially United and Liverpool because they won so much during that time. And once you have that biasness in you, I think that's where it goes wrong for the ref. And obviously, there are no hard implementation, there are no hard guidelines for the ref to check on and
You
what
are bringing the
not
game
check.
into disrepute.
Yes. Are you
Disrepute,
suggesting
So I
whatever
that
feel
it
like
is.
the 18
the
point
point
leads
that
which
Ayush is
Liverpool has on Manchester City, it's all due to VAR? Are you suggesting that?
No, I
no,
didn't
I
say
feel
that.
like it would be
It's
the
all
other
due
way.
to VAR.
Others has to be fined for
Oh my
Mourinho has
God.
been fined, so there, like I said, no consistency, bringing the game into disrepute. Disrepute. Sorry.
No, it would
That's what I
be
said.
even
It's
better
just
for
it was
Liverpool if VAR didn't exist, right? Because VAR exists, they might get a few decisions against them. But like you said, if the referee is a Liverpool fan, then he'll just shamelessly give decisions to Liverpool, and you won't have anyone to check it.
Yeah, probably would have
what if the
gone
ref in
unbeaten.
front of the screen who is checking the frame rate is the most villainous one at that
But
place?
you never know. That guy can be an
Yeah,
on-field referee
yeah.
someday,
That
right?
that that's what I
So
said. You don't
you're
know what
still
is
your
it.
odds.
They can be hards, they can be lows at some point as well. That's
well,
why
I
I
think
Others, you
cannot
are
say that
forgetting.
all 18
Others, you are
point
forgetting the
leads is
last
because of
season.
VAR.
okay. I think we're getting
Others,
a bit off
last season,
track.
you are forgetting that we lost to Manchester City that due to that millimeters which Stones cleared at the line. I mean, if the referee was the taking care of it, I think it would have been awarded and we would have gone unbeaten and won the league. So you should
Maybe he was
be.
that referee who was not on in front of the VAR that day.
No,
What
no.
Sameer said.
Okay. Well, on that note, I think okay. So I have two more questions. I was going to also ask about Manchester United being supported by VAR, but I think we'll leave that after the argument of the first one. I think we'll ignore that one. We'll maybe ask that in the next one. I think others has made his views clear that yes, Manchester United do get benefits from referees as well. But then my second question, which actually was very interesting, is should refs be held more accountable? I mean, right now refs nobody's allowed to criticize referees, nobody's allowed to say anything. Are they being too cocoon, too protected from criticism, which is kind of why it's like, well, it's fine if you make an error. I mean, does there need to be more accountability? Maybe Sameer, you want to take that?
Yeah, I feel like that would work if they introduced an independent panel because right now it's one of the reps association who is at the VAR screen and another one who is on the pitch. So if you start fining refs for bad decisions, the VAR official is just going to be more incentivized to not overturn the decision. But if there is an independent committee, then there will not be any conflict of interest. So unless there is an independent committee, I really don't think that there should be any actions taken against refs who make wrong decisions because you're just incentivizing the VAR official to save his fellow professional.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not advocating for fining for bad decisions or whatever. I'm not. I think refs make mistakes. They're human at the end of the day, and I think that's fine. But more in the case of like this, like if the press is allowed to criticize managers and players for making wrong decisions or not, having wrong tactics, there should be, in my opinion at least, there should be some sort of mechanism where refs can be criticized
I feel
constructively.
like refs are criticized a lot in the media already. And especially among fandoms.
Well, fandoms, yeah, but
Like
like
there are
constructive criticism, even if it is like if manager is allowed to say, what, you made a wrong decision, some kind of accountability mechanism should exist. That's just my. I know. There's any system that can be abused. But Nishikant, are you on the line with us right now?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Just any final thoughts on this on accountability for refs?
Yeah, I mean, I think there should be a system to make, but I don't really know right now what's the system that's there in place. And I think there is some, because you often hear about some refs getting demoted to the championship and lower leagues if they don't perform well. So I know there is a system. I don't know how effective it is. I don't know much about it. But yes, I mean, with so much money in the game, so much investment in the game, I think when a referee makes a decision or a VAR makes a decision, I think VAR this time had something to do in relegation battle as well. One of the teams got relegated because it. I can't quite remember which one right now.
Well,
So
Aston
when you
Villa got
make
saved because of the wrong
yeah,
goal line decision.
yeah, okay.
The Sheffield
So
United.
that has a
One
serious
point.
impact. So you really have to, because you stay in a Premier League, the level of money a club gets is at a different level compared to other leagues. So these are having serious impact. So it has to be looked at. Some change in the system is necessary.
All right. Okay. So on that note, we're now going to move on to everyone's favorite part, which is achievements, and everybody likes to talk about it. So we're going to go around. We'll start with you, Adarsh. So if you can, we'll go for the first one, which is your player of the season. So from any team, who is your player of the season, Adarsh?
Uh, Kevin De Bruyne. There's no debate on that. Yeah, Kevin De Bruyne for me.
Okay. Ayush? Was it Jordan Henderson?
None of them. Football writers have chosen him, so I will go with someone else. If picking from a Liverpool point of view, I will definitely choose Sadio Mane. And outside of Liverpool, definitely Kevin De Bruyne. So I think both.
So even Liverpool fans are not choosing Jordan Henderson. Right? I mean, who voted
That's what
for
I said.
Oh,
No,
it's all right.
he's just the leader. I mean,
He's
he's
English.
just there for taking over the trophy. And
Okay.
So he did everything normal what other leaders were doing it for several years. Nothing special, right?
Well, he won the league
Yeah.
title, which no Liverpool leader had done for 30 years. So maybe that
not
counts
doing
as.
that.
Well, he's English as well, so you can't discount that either.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ayush, so it would be either Sadio Mane or Kevin De Bruyne for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, you can pick any player and go back.
Yeah, the stats say it all. Yeah, for sure. Nishikant.
It has to be Kevin De Bruyne. I mean, I like to mention that Jamie Vardy had a great season. Right? He won the Golden Boot. He's as good as anyone in this league, and he could have been my player of the season. But for the sheer impact that Kevin De Bruyne has on Manchester City, the amount of assists he had this season, he had goals as well. He was involved directly in around 30 or more goals. So he's definitely the player of the season.
Sameer.
I hate to admit it, but it has to be Kevin De Bruyne. He's just been phenomenal this season.
Awesome. So how did Kevin De Bruyne not win the Player of the Season award then? Okay. Is the PFA Player of the Season announced already?
Not yet.
No,
Not yet. Okay, so maybe
no,
he'll
not
win the
yet.
PFA one. And,
The writers only.
okay, but
Like you said, it could have something to do with Liverpool winning the league title and him being English and being the captain, and doing something that even Steven Gerrard couldn't do.
And playing well also. I mean, let's not forget he played well also. Jordan Henderson. Not
Lots
he played all right.
of assists, lots of assists and goal. You forgot to mention that. I usually.
others, it's okay. It's okay. You guys won on Friday. You can move on now. But all right. Okay. So unsurprisingly, aside from Nishikant, everybody else spoke about the big six players of the season. So we'll now look. We also want to give some love to the non-big teams. So Sameer, who was your non-big six player of the season? So I'm saying big six, not top
Definitely,
six, which means that
definitely Jack Grealish.
Jack Grealish. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I feel like he played the biggest part in Aston Villa surviving. Other than VAR, but the impact that he had for them, and not just now, but for years, it's something commendable. He's kind of like what Mark Noble could have been if he had been better. But but yeah, he's been brilliant. Whether you look at his stats or whether you look at his on-field performance, off the ball, on the ball, he looks like a player who's playing in a team that's way below his level.
Sure. Nishikant, you already said Jamie Vardy. You're sticking with that?
I think Leicester finished
No, yeah.
fifth, right?
But I'm saying
So,
non-Big Six, so you can Leicester non-Big
okay.
Six team. So yeah, I made that
All right.
distinction.
Yeah. In that sense, yes. Yeah. Jamie Vardy would be the one. But if we are talking about non-big six, another player that'll be there is Raul Jimenez.
Okay.
He also had a really good season, and played a big part in Wolves being where they are today. So he can also be a tough competition there.
All right. Ayush?
I'll go with Danny Ings.
Oh, Danny
Yeah,
Ings.
I
Oh,
think-
yes. Yes.
Let's not forget he scored 22 league goals. I mean, just one less than Vardy. And so he added Southampton to 50. So yeah, innings, and he was so injury prone. So I'm very happy for him also as an ex-Liverpool player.
Ex-Liverpool, ex-Southampton, which can be
Yeah.
ex-Liverpool anyway.
No one is saying Aubameyang.
Oh, well, I don't know. We still have one person, Adarsh. Who's your pick?
I would go with Raul Jimenez. He had
Raul
been terrific
Jimenez.
for Wolves. Yeah, he's been the proper false nine for Wolves under Nuno because he has been scoring goals, he's been creating chances, he's getting assists for the team. Just perfect.
Well, you can't pick Aubameyang because he is Arsenal technically still our Big Six club. They might be the sixth one in that, but still. So
Yeah.
you can pick Aubameyang. I don't think you could pick any Arsenal player though for their league performance anyway. I think that would be kind of silly. All right, so thanks for that. I think it's been going very smoothly so far. This is great. All right, let's start with you again, Adarsh. Who do you think were your biggest underachiever and overachiever? So it can be a player, it can be a team, anyone, or even referee if you want to go down that road. But yeah, but any of your biggest underachievers and your biggest overachievers.
Biggest underachiever were Everton for me. They have got good potential, good manager, decent amount of good players, but still they finished like 12th in the league table. They should have, yeah, they are underachievers. They should have achieved more. They could have fight for the Europa. They are capable of that. They should have achieved more. That's what I feel. And overachievers are Leicester because we never expected them to be there at first place. We were expecting them to be placed in the mid-table side along Sheffield or Burnley around 9th or 10th. But they still managed to somehow get there at the 5th place by the end of the season, which is quite an overachieving task for them.
I had Leicester pegged for top 4, so anyway, but maybe that was more not to jinx United. But anyway, Ayush, biggest overachievers and underachievers for you. Can be a player, can be a team.
Yeah, for biggest overachievers, I will go with Liverpool, I think.
Okay.
Because I didn't expect to carry the form from last season to this also. I mean, truthfully, like I didn't think that we'll have such a great lead on City and blow the league so easily. So in that aspect, I think they've overachieved. And for underachievers, I'll go with Leicester and Tottenham.
Underachievers, okay. Yeah, Tottenham were not very good this season. I'm just saying, Ayush, I've asked you 3 questions and all 3 of them have had a Liverpool connection to them. So, I'm just pointing that out.
Coincidence.
And you were asking me if the ref are biased or not.
Well, Ayush is understandable though. Nishikant, your picks.
Biggest underachievers would be Spurs.
Okay.
I mean, given last few seasons, they always finished in top 4, and they finished second as well once. Went to the finals of Champions League and played really exciting, nice to watch football. And they have none of these right now at the moment this season. So they are the biggest underachievers, and biggest overachievers, I would say Wolves. I also expected Leicester to be around top 4, so I'm not surprised that they finished 5th. But yeah, Wolves, the way they have played, the way they have been coached, and how well they are doing as a unit, that I would say they are overachievers. We'll see how it pans out next season.
Yeah, an interesting stat about Wolves is that their season actually started last August, so they've already played for more than a year. Their season has gone on for more than a year. I mean, there's COVID in between, but yeah, it's gone on for more than a year now.
Yeah.
Sameer, your final.
For me, the biggest overachievers were Sheffield, for sure. The
Yes.
league result that they got at the end, it was brilliant with the kind of budgets and the backing that they had. I mean, what Chris Wilder has done over there is something that you really never saw coming. As for underachievers, I would go with David De Gea. He is a world class goalkeeper, and seeing him making errors that you would expect a Karius to make, it's just unbelievable for me. I sometimes I can't believe myself when I see him letting the ball slip between his feet or just shove it into the net. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm really hoping he can bounce back next season, or he could be on the way out.
Yes, next season will be pivotal in determining that. I'll give my opinion. I know I'm not supposed to, but I'll do it in this one. I think my biggest overachiever is Frank Lampard. I didn't expect him to get top 4. I thought top 6 was where kind of they would finish, but by default 6 rather than. But the way they played has been, and the way he's conducted himself, aside from the little bit of mourning that he seemed to pick on as the season has gone on. But I think he's been pretty. He's refreshing in some ways, the kind of football that Chelsea have played and the way he's tried to play. My biggest underachiever is Tanguy Ndombele. Spurs record signing, and someone who, I mean, there was a lot of hype. He was linked with United as well, and the people were really rating him really highly. And we haven't even seen him. I don't know what's happened to him. He's been injured most of the time. He's been unfit. I don't know if he's fallen out with Jose Mourinho already, which is not that hard to do. If you're injured consistently, that's pretty hard. That's pretty easy, but that's just my pick. All right, Sameer, we'll come back to you with the match of the season. Your pick for that one. Doesn't have to be the most technically great match, but just one that you found entertaining.
Yeah, for me, it was the 3-0 win, Manchester United's 3-0 win over Aston Villa.
Okay.
Because that match is the one where they actually showed the potential that they have as a team. And as a United fan, it was the best football I have watched since Alex Ferguson retired. So for me, I know it's a fan thing, but for me, that was the match which really defined the season for United. This is what they can do. And if they keep doing this, they're going to achieve great things.
Ayush? Oh, sorry, no, Nishikant.
For me, it has to be the Liverpool-Chelsea 4-3, the one that recently happened. The one
5-3.
Chelsea lost.
The
5-3, yes,
yeah.
sorry, 5-3. The one we lost. I think, that
was great.
It was a tough loss, but the way we played after conceding 4 goals when it was 4-1, I think we showed a bit of character. Too often this season, it has been a case of too little, too late for us, as it was that day. But, I was happy with the way we tried to fight back. So, and it was an entertaining game for me.
Ayush?
I have also 2 picks. I mean, Manchester United versus Chelsea was a fun burn. It deserved a full Anfield crowd. So only that was missing. Otherwise,
You mean the Liverpool-Chelsea game?
Yes,
yes. Oh, you mean the Manchester United and Chelsea games against Liverpool? Okay.
Yeah. And United game was also great. I mean, the Salah last goal, getting off his shirt, and Alisson the sliding towards him. It was the most perfect slide I have seen. In
perfect pass as well. Yes.
Yeah.
Alisson to Salah. That was great. Yes. Adarsh, your pick.
Watford versus Liverpool, 3-0 win for Watford. The most entertaining match of the season for me. They actually broke Liverpool's streak.
Good one.
So, yeah, it was the most satisfying match, especially for Manchester City, because they helped to stop them from being centurions and breaking the most winning streaks as well. So, yeah, Watford 3-0 to Liverpool, best game for me.
I have 2 observations at one is that City banged like 4 goals, 5 goals in matches. They even put 8 past Watford, if I'm not mistaken, and others still picked a Liverpool game.
That's
Secondly,
for a psychology student as Adarsh. That should be obsession, right? It's
Yeah,
obsession
yeah.
101.
and my second observation
Absolutely.
is, Adarsh, I disagree with you that City fans were the happiest ones with that result, because it was actually Arsenal fans, because they were clinging on to the Invincibles thing, and that finally they can say for another year that they're the only ones. But my two observations. If I can say, I think my game of the season that I saw was Sheffield versus Manchester United, the 3-3 draw that happened. And the reason for
Yes.
that wasn't just because because I think it was
Good comeback by Sheffield in
yeah,
that
well,
game.
actually, it was 2-0 to Sheffield. Then United came back to 3-2.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then
And
it
then
was
at the
3-3.
90th, yes.
Yeah, and the reason why I picked that is I think that was the first time that I've seen United actually claw back a lead in that way, but it was not. I mean, there have been games where they've come back from 3-0 and won 4-3 and all that, but I think this team, for that team to know that they could do it in a situation like that, I think that was very much useful for their mentality going forward. But that's just my pick. The other one, I
Definitely.
think, is the Manchester United Liverpool game 2-0 that Liverpool won. I think that was the moment when I think everyone knew Liverpool are going to win the title. Even Liverpool fans, I think, at that point knew they were going to win the title. So those are my two picks. I did also, for the first time in my life, celebrate a goal when when United beat Manchester City 2-0 when McTominay scored. I don't think I've ever celebrated a goal as much as I have in a long, long time. But that's just me. All right, and then we're now going to the final thing, which is the team of the season. And I know this one always divides opinions, so we're going to kind of do it a little bit differently. We're going to ask each of you to pick a name, pick names for each of your positions, and then based on which ones have been picked up in the majority, that will kind of be our unofficial team of the season for us. So we'll start with Adarsh with the goalkeeper. We'll go 4-3-3 because I think that will give us enough people for each position. So Adarsh, who's your pick for the goalkeeper? You're muted.
Dean Henderson.
Dean Henderson is your pick for the goal. All right.
Yeah.
Nishikant?
A goalkeeper,
Yes.
Nick Pope.
Nick Pope. Ayush?
Yeah.
Arsenal's Martinez.
Martinez. All right. Sameer?
I'll go with Nick Pope as well.
Nick Pope. So Nick Pope, because by majority, Nick Pope will be our goalkeeper for this team. Nobody picked Allison or Edison. Okay.
Well, at a lower team, level
Underdogs.
team, and underdogs.
Underdogs at this
And
point.
Nick Pope has 70% around save rate, and I think he's one clean sheet less than the
Edison, yeah.
who Allison
Edison.
Edison, yeah,
Playing
whoever
for
won the
Burnley.
Golden Glove.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, all the
I know
time
you
playing
won't
for
care
Burnley,
because
who
you have
aren't-
Kepa.
Kepa, yeah.
Whoever.
Yeah.
Yes,
Well, I would say Emiliano Martinez would be a good pick as well for Chelsea. I mean, he's a reserve at Arsenal, and you guys are selling Willian, it seems. So, you could ask for that. But anyway.
And he's in
Yeah,
his prime
I-
right now. He's just 27 years
I
old.
don't think we are going to buy a goalkeeper or a defender this season
Well,
because of what Frank Lampard indicated in his latest presser. So it looks that way, but we'll see. Maybe he was just bluffing.
well,
But
Get
God-
Jose and you'll be seeing.
I mean,
Werner
he better
against
be bluffing.
centre back.
Who?
You
Well, if
already
you believe
signed Werner.
reports,
Get
United
Jose, and you'll see Werner at a centre back position. No need to buy a defender.
Okay.
well,
No, we
if
have
you believe
moved past
reports,
that.
United have 24 hours to sign Jadon
Yes.
Sancho, and there's nothing yet on that front either. So we'll see what happens. Second, okay. So now we go with the defenders. So if you can each pick your back four, and then we'll see which players appear the most, and that will be kind of be a back four. So we'll start with you, Sameer, this time.
For the back four, I would go with. Can we do me next? I'm thinking.
Oh, okay. Then Ayush, you want to start us off? The back four.
Yeah. Right back Trent Arnold and Alexander Arnold, and left back would be Robertson, and centre backs would be Van Dijk and Harry Maguire.
Okay. That's great. Yeah, quite reasonable. Adarsh.
Right back would be Alexander Arnold. The centre back would be Van Dijk, Laporte, and the left back would be Digne.
Didn't you? No, that's quite interesting. You picked Laporte. He hasn't played that much this season, but no, that's it. Yeah, no worries. Nishikant.
Uh, Two centre backs will be Van Dijk
Mm-hmm.
and Kaglar Soyuncu, the Leicester
Okay.
City centre back.
Mm-hmm.
Right back, obviously Alexander Arnold. No one's whipping him there. And left back again from Liverpool, Robertson. So that will be my
Yeah.
back four.
Sameer, you ready?
Yeah. So for right back, definitely Alexander Arnold. For the centre backs, I agree with Nishikant. It has to be Van Dijk and Soyuncu because he's been brilliant for them. As for left back, I'll probably go with Digne as well.
Okay, we got two for Robertson, we got two for Digne, but we'll pick Robertson because he finished higher in the league. So unofficially, our back four is going to be Alexander Arnold, Van Dijk,
Oh,
Soyuncu, and Robertson.
I
That's
thought you would be having the veto power on this.
And
You
You can
must
be
be
the
having the
tiebreaker.
veto power. You could
yes,
be
yes,
the
I do have
tiebreaker.
veto power, but no, but yeah, well, I mean, I'm trying to be as democratic as possible. Though I do not wish to use it. If I had, I would use it for a different defender than Soyuncu. I don't think he was that great, but that's your choice. We're not gonna
You
dispute
can
that.
also share your top.
Mine, well, I think the three pretty much picks itself: Van Dijk, Arnold, and Robertson. If I had to pick a fourth defender, I would pick Lindelof. I think he gets a lot of stick unnecessarily, but I think he's been pretty good. And if not him, then I think I would go with John Egan from Sheffield United. I think he has been again someone, but again they play in a back three, so maybe it's different. But he would be one of my centre backs. But nonetheless, I think it's fair. I think that's fine. I'm not disputing that. All right, midfielders, three midfielders. Let's start with Adarsh this time. The three midfielders.
I would choose Kevin De Bruyne,
Yeah.
Kovacic, and Jack Grealish.
Jack Grealish. That's great. Nishikant, your three.
I would choose De Bruyne, obviously. Then I'll go for again Wilfred and Didi
Yeah.
as a proper enforcer kind of thing. Then I Bruno Fernandes. I know he hasn't been in Premier League for long, but the impact he has had on Manchester United, and has been really good. He has been the key player for them. So I think he comes into my team.
Yeah. Well, you need someone to win the penalties. So
yeah.
no, I'm kidding. Sameer.
I'll go with Grealish, De Bruyne, and Fernandes.
Bruno. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
No
Bruno
CDMs there.
Fernandes.
But all right. Ayush.
The best performing players.
For sure. Yes. Ayush.
Would be Kevin De Bruyne and James Henderson.
Jordan Henderson. You mean?
Jordan Henderson and shit, sorry.
Liverpool players don't even remember his name properly, but
Fans,
And you
Liverpool
want player
fans.
of the season for that.
Yeah, Jordan Henderson.
And your third midfielder.
Third one would be third one. You can pick probably Fabinho.
Fabinho. Okay. 2 out of 3 Liverpool players. I think Ayush, I think you need to tone down the bias a little bit. But I think Kevin De Bruyne for sure. Bruno Fernandes appeared twice, so then we pick him. And I think Jack Grealish also appeared twice. So those will be our 3 midfielders in the middle, and an unofficial team. And then finally our forwards, 3 forwards. Maybe Nishikant will start with you this time because you haven't gone first at all. So
yeah. So for me, it will be Mohamed Salah, Jamie Vardy, and I'll go with Sadio Mane, but it was a tough choice between Raheem Sterling and him. So, I'll go with Sadio Mane.
Yeah. Sameer.
I'll go with Aubameyang, Adama Traore, and Mohamed Salah.
Mo Salah. Okay, that's great. Adarsh.
I would go with Aubameyang and Raheem Sterling and Mohamed Salah.
And Ayush, finally to you. Don't say Salah Mane for me, no, please.
No, I'll probably go with Raheem Sterling and Sadio Mane.
Yeah.
And Raul Jimenez.
Oh, nice. Okay, so this was kind of the worst one because you guys all picked like different people, but I think Mo Salah appears the most, so he's definitely in our team. I think Aubameyang appeared twice, so he's in there
Aubameyang
as
and
well.
Sterling.
Yeah, and then I think Nishikant, did you pick Sadio Mane, right? Yeah, and I think Ayush picked Sadio Mane as well. So we've got 2 for Mane. Sameer, did you pick Sterling? You didn't pick Sterling.
I picked Traore.
Yeah. So yeah.
Ayush picked Tap-in Merchant for some reason.
Well,
To reduce the Liverpool bias.
yeah, he's kind of yeah. So yeah.
So you got back to ex-Liverpool player. That's fine.
Yeah, so our front three is going to be Sadio Mane, Aubameyang, and Mo Salah. All right, that's going to be our three. So that's our unofficial. There you have it, guys. That's our unofficial late night football / FITB team of the season. The goalkeeper is going to be Nick Pope. Our back four is going to be Trent Alexander-Arnold, Virgil van Dijk, Douglas Soyuncu, and Andrew Robertson. That's our back four. Our midfield three is Jack Grealish, Bruno Fernandes, and Kevin De Bruyne. And our front three is Sadio Mane, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, and Mohamed Salah. That's our front three. So that's wonderful. I think that's great. There's about five Liverpool players in there. That's good, and there's quite a healthy representation of people around. Sadly, no Jordan Henderson in the team, but I think that's probably for the best.
Do you mean James?
But that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for joining me for this two-part Premier League episode. I know that we had a lot of technical issues last week, but I'm so glad you were supportive and helped me in making this.
Yes, I just noticed recording is on. I hope it has been on for entire episode.
Well, yes, it has been on for the entire time. I made sure of that this time.
Next time I will be charging fees from you.
I know that, yes, for sure. I'm really lucky for that, and I'm lucky you guys are very accommodating. So yeah, well, unfortunately, I don't make any money off it, so I think that this is one benefit of that. But thank you guys for joining me. I know we had a lot of engagements on Facebook for the last one, so I can only wait and see what will happen for this one, because I think we actually hit some controversial points on this one. So I'm really glad.
Liverpool fans were on fire with those comments.
Yes, there was. Yeah, well, it's really wonderful to have you guys. Thank you so much.
Same here, man.
Thanks for having us.
Same here, man. It was a wonderful time.
Pleasure.
Yeah, well, take care, guys. Have a good
Yeah, you too.
rest of your weekend. And I'll see you guys again next week. Take care. Hey everyone, thank you so much for listening to that episode of Late Night Football. We need your help to grow this channel, so if you've been enjoying the show thus far, please do like and subscribe to this channel and share it with your friends, family, colleagues, neighbors, drinking buddies, fellow football fans, and anybody else you know or don't know. We'd really appreciate it. Please also follow us on Twitter and Facebook via the links in the description below and spread the word about us. Take care.